Hey guys, welcome back. This is Caslin and Always Acting Up. This is a podcast where I will be sharing all of my personal stories and journeys as an actress in the entertainment industry. This episode, I have a special guest, and we're going to talk about transitioning from an athlete to an actor. But first, I want to give a special shout out to you guys who have commented and rated on Apple Podcasts, joined me on YouTube, Instagram, and all that good stuff. But first, I do want to give a special shout out to my producer, Hisani Johnson. All right, and back to my special guest. Okay, you guys, this is going to be my Olympic audition. And I know the Olympics are now going to be 2021, so we're going to talk about the would-be 2020 Olympics. And that brings me to my special guest. He is a 2012, 2016 Olympian. He has 2 silver medals, 1 bronze medal. He's got a skill named after himself, and he is also an actor and now a gymnast as well, former gymnast, and a podcaster as well. You guys, I want to give a welcome to Danell Leyva.
Woo!
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 He's
Wait,
here.
I was expecting the claps too, but I guess I'm not as cool as your producer. But you know what?
I got you.
Understandable. Producers are.
Hang tight.
Hey! All right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You just deserve like all the applauses in the world. And I'm super excited to have you here today.
Can I just say it's so cool that you have a soundboard, and I'm like so jealous of that.
It's my producers. I'm not even gonna lie. Nothing's mine. That's mine. This background is mine, and the cell phone, and I write my scripts, and I do all of that good stuff. And I edit, but for the most part, it's my producers. So I'm super excited to have you here today. You know, I was actually editing my own podcast, and I was getting stressed, and I figured like I need a break, and I was going through Instagram, and I saw that you were doing a podcast as well. So I figured like, wow, this is like the perfect person to have on my podcast. So yay, thank you for coming and joining me. Do you want to?
Thank you for having me. Honestly, I think that the way we met was it was really interesting. It was really fun because we were at this like huge event, and it was like it really was so much fun.
Yeah. It was the
Yeah.
I'm gonna just tell you guys, it was the Michael Jackson's the Diamond birthday celebration here in Las Vegas at the Mandalay. I was doing some red carpet interviews, and you were walking the red carpet, right? Something like that?
Did I? I don't remember if I walked the red carpet. I was definitely I was there. I'll say that I was definitely there. I don't remember if I walked the red carpet or not, but yeah. And then we went to go see the show, and that was super fun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because, like, y'all, there were so many cool people there. Like, the actual Jacksons were there. Gabrielle Union was there. And there's this after party, and I turn around, I'm like, I know you. Danell? And he's hanging out. Yo, he's hanging out with Kenny Ortega. And I'm like, how do you know Kenny Ortega? Actually, I still want to know. How do you know Kenny Ortega?
I met him there, actually. I met him there, and we had a really nice chat. And yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure you know that show that's in Vegas, Le Rev.
Yeah.
So I know like the casting director there, and she went with Kenny. She's like, oh, let me introduce you to somebody. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I was like, this is so cool. And Kenny Ortega is like, y'all, he did High School Musical. He did Hocus Pocus. He's on like a ton of stuff. So if you don't know, get yourself on the IMDb.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, so many cool things. So do you want to tell us about your podcast? Like, what's your podcast about? Because I was listening the other day, and I have to admit, it was quite entertaining. I was really like sucked in. I was like, holy moly, he's like being all juicy right now. Like, tell me, oh my God. So tell us about your podcast.
Thank you. Yeah. Honestly, funny enough, so I'm in Miami now, and I drove down from LA, which was quite a journey.
Yeah.
But because of where I'm staying with my aunts, and there's like a a baby who's not even 2 years old yet. So I haven't really been able to continue it, which is why like there aren't any more episodes right now.
Mm.
But I decided to do the podcast because, you know, like we're all like in this kind of what's the word I'm looking for? We're kind of in this like limbo of
Lockdown.
not sure what we're gonna be doing exactly. And I guess like for me it was like, you know, might as well start doing this. Like I've been wanting to do it for a while. I might as well just start doing it. And I'm really happy to hear you say that it was entertaining.
It was because I was like, you know what? I feel like if I'm going to have you on my podcast, I feel like I should have a general idea of like what you're talking about. And I found myself watching and I clicked next. And then I was like, oh, next. And
Oh,
I subscribed and I left a comment. And I was like, there's actually quite a few things. As a former gymnast myself, I can actually relate to like 100%. I was like, oh my God, he's speaking like words right out of my mouth right now. I know exactly what you're talking about. So, yeah. What is your podcast called? Tell us what your podcast is called.
it's called Out of Bounds. And the reason why it's called Out of Bounds is because, I mean, obviously it's a term that is used in gymnastics and in a lot of different other sports, but it's also called that because I'm not just talking about gymnastics. I'm like going out of the boundaries of just what I'm known for.
Mm.
So that's why I named it that.
And it's just on YouTube, right? Or is it on any other podcast platforms?
Yeah, just right now. It's just on YouTube right now. Just because it was the easiest thing for me to do. And also, as you noticed, like the episodes are like pretty short anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe later on, when I start filming them again, I probably will do them longer and I'll put them on like an actual like podcast like server or something.
Cool. And I think you probably know so many people. You can have like so many cool guests. Like I know even like Sean Johnson has her and her husband. I was
Mhm.
gonna call her boyfriend, but her and her husband have their whole YouTube thing. Michaela Skinner has one. Like
Yeah.
you can have a whole bunch of guests. That would be dope. And the cool thing is you mentioned you're doing all these new things and you're an actor
Mhm.
now. And I'm so
Mhm.
excited to talk to you about that because I have my own journeys and struggles going from being an
Mhm.
athlete and to an actor. And I even have people be like, how did this happen? Like, you were the most quiet, shy person I've ever met in my entire
Right.
life. Like, what are you doing? And now you're on stage and I was going to
Mhm.
say shaking your ass, but you're doing all this stuff. And so I'm curious. I have a bunch of questions for you if you don't mind.
Yeah, I have one question for you.
Okay.
Because this is something that I get quite often. They're always like, "Well, why don't you do stunts? Why don't you start doing stunts?" Like that like yeah, but like also first of all, my body's all broken, and
Mm-hmm.
second, that's just not really what I want to do. Like I want to be an actor who can do their own stunts. I don't want to just do stunts. Like how do you feel about that?
That's actually one of my questions I was going to ask you because I got that when I first started. Everyone was like, why don't you just do stunts? And like a cartwheel is
Mhm.
considered a stunt, or like oh my God, I fell and I can't get up, and you did like a little roll. That's considered a stunt. But I didn't know that when I was first starting. I thought stunts was like jumping out of cars and being set on fire. And I was like, no, thank you.
Mhm.
But also a similar situation. I just I didn't want to get hurt. I was kind of already like, my body feels so great from not working out anymore. I feel
Yeah.
good. I don't want to
Oh,
get hurt anymore. And to be honest, I just I didn't want to train anymore. I was tired. I was really tired. I just didn't
yeah.
want to train. And
Yes.
there's so many other athletes who are stunt artists and athletes, actors who are great at that and who actually want to do it. And I just figured I'm just going to
Exactly.
leave that for you guys. I also thought, I could be wrong, I always heard that it was really difficult once you're known as a stunt actor to transition to being an actor.
Yeah.
And you're,
Yeah,
you're
that's
always
the
going to
other thing
be,
that I've heard.
you're always going to be known as one thing. But
Mhm.
like, if I don't want to do my stunts anymore, I don't know.
That's exactly what I was feeling, you know? I was worried about being like pigeonholed like as you just mentioned, but I was also like tired of like having to keep up my like gymnastics form, you know, like I didn't want to get hurt because I was already over getting hurt. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I was just like, no, I'm over it. Besides, acting is so much more challenging for me, and like the reason why I left gymnastics is because I wanted to make a big change in my life, and
Mm-hmm.
if I go into stunts, it's a baby change. You know what I mean? And I wanted to do like a full.
Yeah. I was gonna mention this later on in the podcast, but I'm gonna tell y'all anyways. Do you remember the movie Stick It? It was a gymnastics movie.
Yeah.
So I was like just graduating high school. I had like just moved to LA, and that movie was casting, and we heard about it, and I think I was on background central casting at the time, and my sister, who doesn't act at all, but she was doing background work, she heard about it, and she's like, "Caslin, you should do this." I was like, "No, no." And they were casting for Stick It, and she actually went ahead and sent my pictures and my videos to the casting director, and they kept calling me and calling me and calling me, and I was like, no. You know what? To be honest, I hated the sport at the time. I didn't want to be associated.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be associated.
Yep.
I wanted a break. I didn't want to have anything. I didn't want to put a leotard on again. Like, I hated the sport. It's changed. I don't feel this way at all anymore. But at the time, I was like, I'm not doing it. Now, in hindsight, I'm like, you're so stupid. Like, it could have been, a really great role. I probably could have gotten my SAD card a decade earlier. I could have made a bunch of money, credits, good representation. But at the time, I was just like, nope. And they had called me like over and over and over to try and get me to be a part of the project or audition and at least talk to them. But I was just so stubborn at the time. So that was my bad on my part. But yeah, I was like,
It's tough though. It's tough because it's like a lot of these people, what they don't realize is that, especially for people like you and I, from what I'm hearing you say about your experience, it's a lot heavier than other people realize. So for us, we were just like, I'm done. I'm over it. I don't even want to be associated with it at all. I just want to do like my own thing. Like I'm trying to move forward. And like, I understand because even me as well, like I gave up a lot of opportunities as well in the beginning because in a way, I hated the sport as well. And I just hated, it was just like all of the memories that came with it, and I was just like, I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, and I think just for everyone listening, it's not that we like hate the sport. It was terrible while we were doing it. You just have to understand that, like, for me as an example, I started when I was 2 years old. I stopped when I was 14, so I've had quite a lot of time to process and develop and do other things. But like, when we say we train every day, it's literally Monday through Saturday. Sometimes you have maybe Wednesday off, and it's anywhere from 4 to 7, 8 hours a day. And then the days off, you're so tired, you don't want to do anything else. You just sit there. So it's essentially like having a full-time job as a child. And when you're a kid, like you love it, like, and you do it and you have goals, but you just need a break. It's like having pasta every single day with butter. You just need a change. You just got to get away from it. You're like, I need my space. I need something else. That's how I felt about it.
You're like, I'll take rice at this point, honestly. I'll take rice and butter, at least.
Yeah,
something.
Plain sticky white rice is fine. I'll take it. So now that you have been pursuing a career as an actor, how long have you been doing that for?
Since 2016. I've been, so like
3 years.
Technically not very long at all. Yeah, not very long at all, but it was really funny because, well, not funny, just like it's like tragic comedy type of funny where everything was really starting to like stack up and everything was really starting to fall into place, and I was like, okay, here we go, it's starting, and then we had the apocalypse.
Oh, I literally just had that conversation with a friend the other day on actually one of my podcasts, The Boo-Hoo Dance and Blues. And I was just saying how, we build up, and you're on this roller coaster and things are finally going, and then it just stops. And it's not like a normal career where you're like, oh, I'll just go back to work on Monday and I'll pick up from where I left off. It's not quite like
not at
that.
all.
I feel you. We get it. So I'm curious. We're going to take it like way, way back. When you were training and
Can't wait.
Yeah. when you were training, when you were a gymnast, when you were back in the gym, What were you like? Were you quiet or were you like a clown in the gym, super focused? Like, what was your personality like growing up in gymnastics?
I was kind of all over the place, if I'm being completely honest. Um, because I've like always had social anxiety, and so there was like a lot of moments where, at first, I was really reserved or whatever, and like doing my own thing until like I kind of got to know the person, and then I would like ease up. But then at the same time, I was always the first person to go and like introduce myself and say hi to like anyone new and try to like make them feel welcome and whatever. And then like as I got older, because of I'm sure like the toxic environment that um you kind of start building this like anger, and
Hmm.
it's like it, it's not that you like want to be like that, but like a lot of time like I would just get really angry really quickly, and I just like whenever I would do something poorly, I would just get really angry at myself, not at anybody in specific, just like at myself. And so I was getting like really frustrated, especially towards the end. But I was always talking. I have ADHD, so I was like again all over the place, uh, but it was, I don't know. I would say that there was a balance, but not necessarily, because like I said, at the end I was trying to be like ultra focused and just trying to do my thing and get out of the gym as quickly as I could.
Hmm. I'm smiling and I'm laughing not because of all that, but I'm laughing because when you were saying I got really angry and I was frustrated towards myself, I would cry every single day. I was that annoying person, like that. I was so shy and so scared to express myself that I would just take everything in and cry. Like I couldn't do something. I'd
Yeah.
cry. You said something mean to me, I'd cry. And I tried to like keep it to myself. And so that's why people now they're like, "You're an actor?" Like I didn't talk at
Yeah.
all.
Right.
It's a completely different thing. And what changed for me is that once I kind of mentally just said, "I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore." We could probably go into that like another time of like what really, really happened.
Different podcast.
But once I kind of retired my career, it took a little while to adjust. And then it was like puberty just hit for me.
Mhm.
I don't have any other
Mhm.
explanations, but I just couldn't stop talking. I was dancing all around the house, which is something that would have
Mhm.
never happened like a year ago. And once I started taking dance
Yep.
classes and once I went on stage for the first time, it was like, whoa, this whole world
Mhm.
changed for me. And so that's what sparked it for me, besides watching music videos, which I was obsessed with. What
Mhm.
was it that kind of sparked it for you? Like, what made you go, I want to be an actor?
So I always knew that I was going to be an actor. Like I always knew that that was just going to be what I wanted to do after gymnastics. Um, I just never, like you said, I never did anything because, like, first of all, we would train basically all day, and then when we weren't too tired to do anything, for me, it was all I was always told that I just had to be completely focused on only exclusively gymnastics. So everything
Mm,
that I did outside of the gym, like had to relate back to gymnastics. And if I didn't, then I was going to get distracted and things weren't going to go like as well as they should. Um, so that's the only reason why I didn't like start sooner. But the thing that kind of switched on me, which I mean, it has switched and it kind of hasn't. Um, the wonders of therapy. Going to therapy and actually
Y'all,
talking out my issues and figuring out.
therapy's great. I recommend it to everybody. There's no shame. Go talk to somebody. Go to therapy. It's worth it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's changed my life for real. Like as cliche and like frustrating as that sounds, it really has changed my life. It's amazing.
It does, and just kind of like getting everything off your chest and realizing I'm not crazy, maybe a little, but there were other factors like digging in and kind of pushing their way into your life that maybe shouldn't have been there. Or, the people around us sometimes, I think that they were probably taught a certain way and that's what they know. And
Mhm.
it may not be the right way, but that's the
Mhm.
way they were taught and that's how the people who taught them
Mhm.
were taught, and that's just this whole cycle that we have to break.
Mhm.
So how did you know, like, all right, I want to be an actor? Like, how did you know what to do? Like, I'm just going to go knock on some doors and say, hi, I'm here. Like, how did you know what to do? Because you're in the age of like, you can go on YouTube now and I guess say, YouTube,
Right.
I want to be an actor. What do I do? How did you know what to do?
Funny enough, I actually, when I started, I didn't want to do anything on YouTube. I didn't really want to do anything like Instagram related. And it's just because there's a very specific, um, it's almost like its own genre, you know? And like, I'm sure as an actor and as a creator yourself, I'm pretty sure you understand what I mean when people who make that they're like Instagram famous or like YouTube famous, it's like a specific genre because even if they do like sketches and everything, it's still it's not like a sketch that you'll see on TV. You
Yeah,
know, it's not like a sketch that you'll see on a TV on like a show or even like the performances obviously are not like something that you'll see and so I didn't want to be known as like an Instagram famous or a YouTube famous person. I wanted to
I get
like
that.
right, do it the real way, quote unquote. I started to realize that first of all, that's kind of taking away from those people's like hard work because it is like really hard work to like
Hmm.
be that successful. But um, on top of that, I also decided that I was going to make my own TV quality sketches and content and just use those platforms to, I guess, show people, you know, my hard work. Um,
Hmm.
but initially, my plan was to go out to LA and start classes and ask people like to give me advice and see what it is, what were the steps that I
Yeah.
needed to take, and um, that helped me a lot. Taking classes helped me a lot.
Did you, when you moved to LA, did you know people here already, or you're just, I'm gonna move to LA and take a class
S-
and go for it?
I only had like actually like one friend, honestly. I think I only had one real friend that was an actor in LA. Everybody else I just met along the way.
Hmm.
And that one friend, when I told him, I was like, "Hey man, he's been in SAG. He's been a part of SAG for over 30 years and he's like 36 or something like that. So he's been in it like his whole life."
Wow.
Um yeah, and so when I told him I was like, "Hey, like, you know, I'm moving to LA. I'm going to be an actor." He was like, are you sure? Are you sure there's nothing else that you love? Like, are you sure?
Yeah,
Like it's hard, bud. And I was like, "No. No, not at all." Now I'm like, "Dang, dude, I
I
mean,
know.
I love it, but
Yeah, I get a lot of that too, and I actually was curious if you had a lot of people kind of being like, maybe you should do
mhm.
something else. And it's not that they're trying to just be mean. I think
No, not at
everybody,
all.
I think everybody sort of knows how difficult it is, and so I'm sure you probably heard a lot of people try to guide you in a different direction, or maybe
Mhm.
I don't know, give you a time limit of some sort.
Oh, that was something that saved me, honestly. I went to, the Pink Taco that's on Sunset.
Mm-hmm. The
I
hot
went
dog
there
place, you
like
guys.
I went there like maybe a month or two after like moving to LA, and there was like a server there, and I was like, um, I bet that guy's an actor. And then I asked him, I was like, "Hey man, you're an actor, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm more of a musician, but yeah, I'm an actor as well." And then I started having a conversation with him, and like he gave me the best words of advice. And he's like, "The problem with a lot of people that move to LA is that they say if I don't make it in a year, I'm gonna go back." And that's like the biggest mistake that you can make. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "For an actor, the minimum you should give yourself is 10 years. Like if you don't make it
Mm-hmm.
after 10 years, then you can like go back and just do something else." He's like, "You can't say a year. That's not even close to the amount of time that to start building something, you know?"
Yeah, and that's why I was like, you know what, you'll be great at this because having a career in gymnastics, it's an everyday thing. It's a marathon, and I know we hear this all the time. It's a
Yes.
marathon, it's not a sprint. But also, like, for everyone listening, and maybe you don't know, a lot of the people you see on TV now, y'all, they've been doing it since they were kids. Okay, it's not like they just went and knocked on someone's door and blew up. Like, they've literally been doing this since they were children, or their uncle
Yeah.
is Steven Spielberg. You know, it's one of those
Right.
situations that it's
I mean, Chris Evans literally has been doing. He's been acting since he was literally since a child. His mom was
Scarlett
like
Johansson, Reese
theater stuff.
Witherspoon.
Scarlett Johansson.
hmm
Yeah, I mean, even Joaquin Phoenix as well. And like just now, he won an Oscar. You know, his like first one, I think, or something like. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a
But, you know,
process.
it's all the same.
And you know, that is funny though. Like, you can go in LA and you could look at, you know, the girl doing your nails or anybody, and you're like, you're an actor, aren't you? And they're like, yeah, I am. So I'm also curious, why LA? Because I was thinking, like, you're from Miami and Atlanta's close to there,
Mhm,
but don't they film,
mhm.
okay, don't hate me, don't they film a lot of like Nickelodeon and like telenovelas in Miami? Have you thought about kind of conquering that? Would you ever do a telenovela?
I wouldn't. I
No,
wouldn't. That was like my one rule that I don't ever want to do a novela.
they're so
Um,
good.
you know, actually, interesting. As an actor, you're gonna appreciate this. It's gonna make it's gonna make you equally frustrated as it is impressed.
Okay.
So they have to film those every single day,
Mm-hmm.
not once a week, like every single day.
Yeah,
So
like
they
soap
can't be
opera.
like learning. Yeah, they can't be like learning lines. So they have an earpiece and they have the writer reading them their lines like while they're filming.
You just spilled some juicy information. Oh my God.
But how
Wow.
crazy is that? How hard is that? But also, like, how dumb is that? You know what I mean? It's like both of the.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. I actually taught myself because I had some trade shows that I was doing here in Vegas, and I was like, I just can't do this script right now. I can't get it. It's too much jargon. I actually taught myself ear prompter, which is a skill I actually highly suggest actors to do with their cell phone, just to have it, you know, or just so maybe in case you're on a telenovela that you know how to do it.
That's really interesting. How do you do that? How did you go about doing that?
So what you can do is use your voice recorder on your phone
Okay.
and just record whatever script it is that you are going to have to do. Grab your ear set and play it in your ear and just start practicing. Like, you can actually record it on another device so you can watch yourself, but go in front of the mirror, press play, and everything that you're hearing, just repeat it. And the reason I'm saying record yourself so you can see if you've mumbled, stumbled your words, if you're getting the inflections correctly, and just keep
Uh,
practicing like that. Little tips
that's
and
interesting.
tricks
That's
going
really
on
interesting.
here.
Sounds
hmm
really hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it is, but it's just like, it's practice. It's just like anything else. Um, so now that you're an actor, what was your first audition like?
Man, my first audition was actually a self tape, and I didn't.
That's awesome.
It was. Yeah, right. It was not a normal self tape. They specifically asked me to film myself, uh, like stumbling drunkily up some steps, and then I was like, okay. Um, and I did that, and then that's like I got the part for that one. Funny
I
enough,
was
it
just
was for
gonna
a short
ask.
film.
I was gonna say, did you book it?
Yeah, yeah,
And then
I did. Um,
And then what was like your first experience on set as an actor? Like, what was that like for you?
funny enough, ironically enough, I had just moved to LA. And I was there, and I was like, I'm gonna do the acting thing. And then I got a call from, she is a reporter for NBC Miami. She's like, hey, my brother's like a cinematographer and a director, and he's gonna do like a series. And I told him about you, and they like would love to have you. And I was like, okay, great. Like, when and where is it? And she was like, oh, it's actually in Miami. And I was like, what? I was
Mm.
like, I just got here. So I had to fly myself out for like the weekend. But it was really great, and it was really fun, you know, like I was like a dance teacher, and that was even before I started any classes or
Mhm.
anything. And I did really well. Like for my first time ever, like I actually watched it again like the other day. You know, we did pretty well. Oh, there's a lot of dogs in here now. Great. Wonderful. Hello. I'm busy though. Thank you, but I'm busy.
I'm sorry.
Thank
You said it
goodness.
was it a short or what did you say it was? I missed it.
Yeah, it was a short.
It's a short film.
Do you
Cool.
see this? Do you see all of
I
this going
can.
on behind me?
You guys who are paying attention, he's got some dogs that just walked in and joined us. I see a tail
Can you please
dragging right in his face. It's hard doing stuff at
get
home.
out of here?
Especially like self-tapes. I actually was doing one the other day and my neighbor's dogs wouldn't stop. And I'm like, oh, sometimes it's just so hard to
my
do things
goodness.
at home. Like I don't have, I mean, I kind of have like a little bit of a studio, but you know, you still got other people that live and have to, you know, live.
Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Don't
We enjoyed
edit that
it.
out. That's hilarious.
No, we like it.
Um,
We like all things like that.
but yeah, self-tapes at home it's a hit or miss, you know?
Mhm.
It's definitely a hit or miss. You know, you have maybe it's your neighbors that are moving furniture for some reason. Maybe, you know, like you have a police car outside or like an alarm that somebody won't turn off. Like, oh goodness.
I always get really nervous that like if I have to scream in a scene that someone's like gonna call the cops or I'm gonna start getting like, are you okay in there? So I feel like, and I think a lot of us actors during self-tapes probably hold back a little bit because they don't want to be
Yeah.
too loud or whatever the situation is.
We do the whole
You know, like, sorry. And so now that you're acting and you have an extensive career in gymnastics, do you find any similar, I mean, any similarities between the two?
I mean the work ethic is probably the most similar thing, but literally other than that, it is completely different. Is 100% completely different. And the thing that I noticed um I want to say that it like hit me really hard was in 2018 where I was supposed to do like a job for something and then it canceled like very last minute and then there was just like nothing, you know, and like as a gymnast you compete and you have a bad competition and you could just go back into the gym and you know the you'd already know the next date of when you're going to go and compete again. Like you know what you're going to work towards. But as an actor, you have no clue. You have
Yeah.
no clue when the next thing is coming at all. So it's like it's hard because you're just like I'm so used to like this structure. What am I supposed to do now? Like I
Yeah.
can't go back into the gym, you know what I mean?
You work hard and you get
Like-
results, and in this one you're like, I can get results, but like, you just you may just be
Yeah.
chilling at home by yourself, creating your own content for a little while until something pops up. But I have to agree. I was thinking about that, and I've really thought about this over the years. Like, what are the similarities? And I think, like, hands down, it has to be the work ethic, because had I not been in a sport that kept pushing me to go forward, I probably would have quit like 8 years ago. I probably would have just been like, oh, it's not happening. I'm done. But I'm also super, what's the word? I'm a little stubborn, and I just want to keep going. Like, I know I'm going to have the career that I want. It may not be the success that you think I should have, but I know that I'm going to have my own success. And that's what I think is super great. And now...
That's amazing. That's super admirable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but I just keep going. I just keep going. And you know what it is also? Like, I've already sacrificed so much, and I've spent so much time away from my family, and I've missed super important events, and I've got cousins that I've never even met before, and that's really a crappy situation. Oof. But if I've already put in this much work, for me to just stop now, it just kind of would feel like all of that work would have been for nothing. So I might as well just keep going. Speaking of that, is there anything that you know now that you wish you would have known when you first started, besides the fact that it's really hard, but also very rewarding?
I think it is very rewarding. I just think that I would have convinced myself to start writing sooner, because I'm actually like pretty good at writing, and I just, you know, the ignorance of not really knowing very much about like this industry coming into it, I was just like, I'm only going to be an actor and then everything else will come.
Yeah. I think
duh.
I think
You know, like, no.
everybody's like that. I think it's like a thing for all actors that you're like, I'm gonna move to LA and I'm just gonna book a job. And every single one of us thinks that until you get here and you're like, oh, you thought that? I thought that. He thought that? She thought that. I think everyone just kind of thinks it's gonna happen for them. And it does if you're Ashton Kutcher. But for the rest of us, we may just have to work and do some other things, you know, and until we get to the success that we want.
Yeah.
And since you mentioned writing, is that something you'd like to do, like in the future? Produce, you know, you got like Shaq, and I was watching this movie the other day on Netflix, How We Were Made. I know I'm not saying the title correctly, and LeBron James is actually producing it, which I was like, whoa. Is that something you'd be interested in?
He's actually been the producing aspect of it. I would say, yeah. I haven't like really completely looked into it because like I want to know everything that it entails as a producer, because I know that there's a lot of people that they're like big actors and then they get the EP credit, but it's just like, are they actually the EPing, or are they just
handing over a paycheck?
Was it part of their contract? You know? Mm-hmm. But I don't want to like half-ass anything. You know what I mean? I definitely want to be a director in the future. Mm-hmm. I definitely want to do that.
Cool.
As far as like writing, I would prefer if I like had a team, because I actually wrote a movie already. Now I'm like just like in the process of like trying to
wait. Sorry.
Thank you. I'm just kind of in the process of like trying to sell it now, you know, and that's like always the hardest part. But actually, I might even ask you to. I'm trying to schedule like a table read, like a Zoom table read. So I might call you and have you be a part of that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. You know, and I also, I don't know, did you see my last 2 posts on Instagram?
Maybe.
They were like IGTV posts. Like one of them was it was like the dating when I was like bleeding through my nose and whatever.
Let me look right now. I feel like I did.
It was a while ago at this point.
Oh.
But well, that one I wrote myself. I shot that one myself. Like I literally did virtually everything except for the editing, which I was gonna also do myself. But like I had a friend of mine that came in actually to help me. But yeah, and then the very last one, that one I co-wrote that one myself with my friend who's also in it. But all that kind of stuff, like I really enjoy the creating process of it all. You know, like I wanna my literal like dream goal is to have a career similar to Dwayne Johnson, in the sense that like if you pay attention to like all of the movies that he's been in, if like all of the movies that he's been in, it's like his team that are creating them. You know what I mean? Like there's maybe like 1 or 2 that comes from a different company, but like most of them, they're all coming from like his think tank, and that's like what I would really want to do.
You know, it's funny. I think that's awesome. You said Dwayne Johnson, and in my mind, I'm like, who's that? Who's that? Oh my God. And then I'm like, oh my God, The Rock, duh. And I think I'm just so used to hearing him, you know, we call him The Rock. And I'm like, Dwayne Johnson.
Being The Rock.
But yeah, I was going to mention that, like, I have a podcast. I talked about how I'm BFFs with Dave Bautista. You got The Rock. You have, you know, Terry Bradshaw.
No way.
I mean, it's kind of a joke, but you got to listen to the podcast. Yeah, there's so many. There's so many athletes that are now on TV. What do you think it is about actors? I'm sorry, athletes all wanting to be actors. Do you think it's similar to? Is it a work ethic that you think we all enjoy? We just like working hard. I don't.
I think I would say that the reason why a lot of athletes are successful as actors is definitely the work ethic aspect of it. There, you know, it does become a little bit easier for athletes that are in that sort of, I guess, platform, just because for Dave Bautista and The Rock, they were essentially already acting in a way. You know what I mean? Because like the whole wrestling thing is very much it's an act. I don't want to get a lot of hate mail from a lot of these wrestling fans. But you know what I mean? They're personas, they're characters, and so like people can at least like see them and they hear them and they can see them like be a specific thing. I think for us as like gymnasts, we're literally trained, and it is literally the point of gymnastics to be emotionless, to make everything seem as seamless as possible. We don't talk, like there's nothing, it's just all body. You know what I mean? Which is why I think for most gymnasts, we either go into the circus or we go into stunts.
We need a creative outlet of some sort.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to circle back to how you said Dwayne Johnson has a team working with him. I think that's great. I don't even know how to go about doing that, like how to, get a team and be like, this is my idea, you guys create it, go. But that's dope. Would you want to do something like action movies? He's kind of transitioning into a little bit. He does action, but he's sort of doing a little bit more, I think, family-friendly movies now. Is that something that you'd want to do?
Is he really? Again?
Well, I feel like...
Is he doing family-friendly again?
Well, like, isn't Jumanji, like, family-friendly sort of stuff?
I guess.
Because there's, like, the Die Hard movies, and then there's, like, the little bit action, but friendlier. It's just...
For me, I would honestly, I want to do everything. I want to do every kind of genre. Like, if I could shape my career similar to somebody's career, I think I would choose somebody like, as far as movies go, probably Chris Evans, just because he's literally done he's done the romantic comedy, he's done literally the superheroes, he's done the more dramatic roles, like he's done a lot of different things. As far as like creative process, I would say somebody like Donald Glover or, I guess now his name's Dave Bird, but Lil Dicky.
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen his.
Of course,
Have you seen his show?
Hi, I'm Dave. Yeah, of course I've seen it.
That show is it's like mind-blowingly good. He writes all of it.
I was thinking, because you were talking about Donald Glover. And he's got a show called Atlanta, and we know Donald Glover. He's written on Community. He's had his own music career, Childish Gambino. What if you have Dave and Childish Gambino, or like, I don't know, we'll just call him Childish Gambino, okay? What if they collaborated and had a show? Like, how epic would that be? I think that'd be dope.
That would be amazing. I think that would be crazy, and I think it's really interesting because like. Of course, you have one that's way more satirical than the other, like that's kind of the thing that I respect about both of them, that, Lil Dicky is always more like into like jokes and like the lighter aspect of it all, a little raunchier. I actually haven't seen very much Atlanta at all, honestly.
You should.
Guilty. I know. But I've heard that it is funny, but I've heard that there's parts that you're just like, oh, damn. Type of thing.
Yeah, he does a really good job of talking about real issues in a way that doesn't shove it in your face. Like, he'll do it a really clever, brilliant way that you're like, oh my God, wow, what is he saying? And I think that's what's so great about Donald Glover. I mean, I think he's brilliant. Actually, yeah, I think he's brilliant. We've kind of been fans with him of him for a while when he was just starting his Childish Gambino. So,
I mean, if his career, he's done stand-up comedy successfully. He wrote for either SNL or 30 Rock. I think it was 30 Rock that he wrote for. And then he went on to do Community, also successfully. Then he did his music career, also incredibly successfully. Then he did Atlanta, which won him Golden Globe Awards, not only as an actor, but also as like the creator of the show. You know what I mean? Like, that dude is a genius for sure, in my opinion. That dude is amazing.
I agree. Let's just say we're all on the Donald Glover bandwagon. Hey.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to transition us real fast here. 1 second. Okay, you guys. I wanted to transition real fast. And I got my, can y'all see it? The Olympic colors. I wanted to chat briefly with you. about the Olympics. So how do you feel about the
Um,
Olympics
so
being
you wanted,
canceled right now? As an athlete yourself, any words of advice, anything you got to say
um,
to those athletes?
I think it's incredibly difficult. I genuinely cannot fathom myself in that position. Like, I'm so happy in a very selfish way that I retired when I did, because if I would have still been training, I would have I would have gone crazy for sure. You
It's
know, like
four extra
I'm friends
years.
with, yeah, and then it's a whole extra year. It's just, I don't know. Like, I'm friends with an Olympic fencer. Her name's Monica Aksamit. She got bronze in 2016, and we've been talking about it. And she's just like, honestly, I spent so much money for this year, and like a sport like fencing, they don't really get like any funding at all.
Mm.
You know, so she had to like basically go into debt to try and make the Olympics. You know, and now there's no Olympics. So it's like, it's really hard, you know, and like having to think about that kind of stuff is incredibly difficult. And so I want to kind of remind um more so the fans that if you see a lot of the people that you follow decide to retire after this whole thing, like, honestly, don't like hate, like, for real. Don't say anything bad. Don't make them feel bad for like wanting to move on with their life, because it's as tough as it is to stop your job for however long and then get back to it. Imagine like having to retrain yourself. It's like what we were talking about. Imagine if somebody told you right now, Kaz, like, hey, tomorrow you start training again. Like, you would lose your mind.
Mm.
Like, look at that. Look at that face. You would lose your mind.
Yeah.
Like, how much anxiety did you feel just now? Like, are your hands already sweating? You know what I mean? Like,
I just instantly felt sore.
and these people, that's what I'm saying, you know? So
Yeah.
it has to be, in a way devastating, you know? And like, all I can do is like show as much support as I can to these people.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of talk. They're like, "Oh, you have a whole extra year to train," and I'm like, "But you also have a whole
No,
extra
you
year
don't.
to get injured as well. It's a whole
Yeah.
extra year of anything can happen." And I feel for
But
them.
also, like, they're not even, I agree, but they're also not taking into account that it's absolutely not an extra year whatsoever. It's really not.
Yeah, because nobody's
It's
training right
because, first of all, nobody's training right now.
Mhm.
Nobody's training. Like, it's, and then all the time off that you're going to need, because people are absolutely going to be probably way more sore now than they were if training would not have stopped. You know, people are going to be way more wary of, like you said, getting injuries. It's going to be a really tough process. Honestly, I'm intrigued, but I'm a little bit worried for our athletes. And when I say our, I literally mean throughout the world.
I would say everybody. So this is a quick shout out. We love you. We know you're working hard. We support all of your
Yep.
decisions. The reason I was curious about it, because usually in the entertainment industry, every year leading up to the Olympics, there's just Olympic commercials like crazy. So
Yeah.
I'm sure I
Yeah.
was curious if you were kind of trying to work out, trying to get into some of those commercials, because it's fatty money right there for doing basic stuff that you know how to do.
I mean, I think it'd be really interesting. Like, if we think about it, the circumstances, like if I were to be in an Olympic commercial, I feel like people would be incredibly confused and be like, "Wait, you're training again? Are you back? Are you what's going on?" You know what I mean? And I would probably just be laughing, like with you, like you said, like in sitting on top of my pile of money and being like, "Ha ha ha." But
Can you put me
I
in a
don't know,
silhouette so no one
because
can see my face?
I honestly don't know, because also my manager for a while, like I run my ideas by her, and I had this idea of doing something that it wasn't necessarily related to me being an Olympian at all, but it had like Olympics in it.
Mhm.
And she was like, "I like the idea. I want you to step away from that, because I'm trying to really pitch you as an actor only right now." So she's like, let's put that like on the back burner. And I was like, you are absolutely right, ma'am. Thank you for being you.
I was curious about that. I wasn't sure if you were trying to like shy away from that and be known as Danell the actor, or if you still wanted to kind of use that to kind of nudge your way in the doors. So you are trying to kind of build yourself up in a new way, really, and be known as an actor. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think my ideal, this is like what I picture quite often. I either lay in bed or I'm in the shower and I'm just like visualizing myself on like probably with Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Fallon, whoever books me first after doing something that's worthy of me being on one of those shows, and the conversation goes, and by the way, you were in the Olympics as well, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
You all, that's like the ideal situation where I'm like, yeah, I was. I absolutely was. Is
that like getting on one of those talk shows, like your moment when you're like, I've made it. I'm here.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, but, dude, The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, I think would be.
I love Trevor Noah.
I think you like really made it. Who doesn't love Trevor Noah? He's amazing.
He's charming.
That or being like with Stephen Colbert because he's just incredible. Seth Meyers, honestly, anyone.
That was it for me.
That's
too.
when you know.
I always said that I'm gonna know I made it when I'm on the Jay Leno show, the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. However, that's not possible anymore because he doesn't do that. So, let me go hang out with one of the Jimmys and Ellen. I have to get on the Ellen show. Like Ellen Jimmy. Is like, that's when I've made it. Like, let me dance my butt all the way up to go hang out with Ellen. That's it. I made it. Game over. Done. I think
Jimmy Kimmel is definitely like my goal for sure. Being just because he's just so funny. He's so funny, and he's just like so dry about everything. And I want to mess with him so bad. I want to mess with all of them, honestly. I've been like writing notes down and things of like when I'm on the show, I'm gonna bring this up and I'm gonna make them feel embarrassed.
You should. That would be awesome. Well, that's a goal. And then I couldn't have you on the show and not talk about American Ninja Warrior. You guys,
yeah.
Let me sort of set this up for you guys. And I'm going to post a link below. I'm going to go find it somewhere and I'm going to post it because you guys have to watch this. So Danell goes
It's on my Instagram.
Yeah. What's your Instagram handle? Tell us.
Oh, okay. My Instagram handle is at Danell J Leyva. It's spelled DANELLJLEYVA. And yes, please continue, Cass.
Okay. I'll post all the information. So, y'all, Danell goes on American Ninja Warrior, and he's jumping all over these things, and he jumps on one. You're like, oh no, he's gonna fall. And then he uses his like gymnastic strength, flips his butt over, and he stays on. It's epic. I cannot even describe it. You have to go and watch it. But yeah, this went viral. I saw this everywhere. And I'm like, this is brilliant. Like, nobody else could do this besides a gymnast, besides you. Like, and you're so quick on your feet to even think about doing that. Can you tell me all about American Ninja Warrior? Did you approach the show? Like, how did this happen?
So, funny enough, I didn't. I was actually, that was another kind of one of those shows that initially I didn't want to do because, again, I was just trying to pull myself away from being Danell the Olympian. But they reached out to me. And after the casting director reaches out to you, I was just like, well, I guess I have to do it now. Mm-hmm. And it always seemed like a lot of fun to do the obstacles and stuff like that. But I will say it was really rough because, I filmed in LA and it was like March. So it was like cold and it was in the middle of the night. Like literally like I got there, the first night I got there at around 9 p.m. and I didn't get back home until 7 in the morning.
Wow. So you're basically in zombie mode trying to do these obstacle courses.
Yeah, and then the next night, very similar. I got there at around like 4:30 p.m. and I didn't get home until like 6, 7 a.m. And then when
Wait,
I
you
went to
had 2 days?
Vegas,
2 days? Is there like a qualifier round? And then
yes, so you do the city qualifiers, which it's like over 100 people that try to make the course, and then within those 100 and whatever people, there's I want to say 30 people that make the next night, which is like city finals, and then from city finals you land in the top 15 of your city to make it to Vegas.
holy moly.
Yeah, and then when you get to Vegas, it's like another 4 rounds. But anyways, so yeah, that first night, whatever, 9 to 7. The second night, like 4:30 to 7, and then when I got to Vegas, it was very similar as well. And I mean, you can appreciate this. It was like June or July. It was in the middle of the desert.
Oh.
And luckily, it was in the middle of the night, so it wasn't as hot. But
it's still like 100 degrees here
cold
at nighttime. Well, I guess
Yeah,
it's a desert, but it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you don't know what you're gonna get. And that happened at like 3 a.m. That flip. So funny enough, when I was going, the person, I think he had gone either right before me or like 2 people before me. The dude that went literally fell the exact same way that I did. He got tripped up on the second one, fell on his chest, and then just fell into the water. But I didn't see it at all. I was going, and I actually had 2 saves. I keep hitting the mic. Jesus. I had 2 saves where one, I overshot something, and I almost missed like the landing pad. So I had to like adjust my feet behind me and then do a roll, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" And it was just normal to me. I was just like, "Okay, continuing."
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got to that, I ran that obstacle was one of those unnecessarily hard obstacles. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I got there and I tripped up and I saw myself falling and I was like, "Uh-oh, well, guess I got to grab on." And I grabbed on and then I was like, "Okay, move your head over here. Don't hit your head." And I was like, "Oh, bend your knees so you don't touch the water." Whoop, bent my knees and I was like, "Oh, I have some momentum. I can just swing up and over." And I swung up and I stood up and I was like, "Okay, cool, balance, and finished it." And I was like, "Great, cool."
It was epic. You guys have to go and watch it. He literally does like a little pullover on this like mini mushroom looking thing. It's so cool. Like, I mean, the reason it went viral because you're like, what? How did somebody make this? Like, no way. It was awesome. What's going on over there? I hear a bunch of, is that your side? Horns?
What do you hear?
I hear
Horns?
crazy.
No, that's not on my side. That's not on my side.
1 second.
That's your side. I hear it now.
Hang on 1 second. Cool, I think it's done. That was crazy. That was crazy.
By the way, just real quick, there's one thing that happened with that video that was like super upsetting.
Which video?
And it's happened like with the
Instagram one?
the American Ninja Warrior one. Yeah, so
Wait, do you want this to be on the recorded video?
I'll tell you and then you decide.
Okay.
But
okay.
do you know who that guy Juggling Josh is or whatever?
No, is that one of the hosts?
No, he's like an Instagram famous person because he's like really good at juggling and he does some like crazy trick shot stuff. But he put it on his TikTok, and I think he had somewhere around 50 million views or something like that. And he didn't tag me. And then some people were like, "Oh, like tag this person, never tagged me." And then he reposted it a second time and again didn't tag me.
Wow.
And then Gary V recently also, he used that video and superimposed his face on my head. And somebody had to like tag me in his comments and be like, "Tag this person." I was like, "What is going on, dude?"
Yeah. That's super crazy.
It's so easy. It's so easy to give credit. It's so easy to give credit to like, you know?
I talk about that often about just, maybe I don't talk about it often, but like, yeah, you want to give credit. It's so simple. And so I also do photography, and like it kind of bothers me sometimes when people post my picture and they don't put my name on it, and it's like, that's my art and that's my work and that's my job ultimately, and that's how I get other work. So sometimes it's just like,
Yeah.
you could have tagged me. My least favorite thing is when they put filters on my photos. I'm like, y'all, I spent so much time.
God.
I spent so much time editing this, and y'all put a filter on it. Okay.
I cannot.
Yeah, but that's what I was curious. Like, did anything come from your videos going viral? Because, I don't know. Did anyone reach out? No. Got a boost in followers?
I got like cool people that reposted it. Yeah, I honestly don't even think I got a boost of followers. I just got a few cool people that reposted it and stuff like that. I think somebody, Angela Kinsley, which she was like on The Office, I think she tweeted something about it, and I was like, oh my God. But that's really the extent.
See, I always wonder how stuff like that happens, because here you are, this athlete doing this like crazy thing. I would imagine in my mind, in my little world, that you would have like movie producers and directors being like, I want that guy to come and be in my movie and do this trick. Because I see like Instagram influencers. I love you guys. I'm just talking about it. I see people who are don't do special skills getting these opportunities. And I'm like, I'm sorry, wait, what? I don't know how things work.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm always really curious about that.
I honestly don't. I don't know either. I wish I did, but I really don't know either.
Well, you never know what the future may hold. There's always things popping up, and what I always say is sometimes like it may be like 8 or 9 months from when you audition for a project, from when you actually hear about it and you booked it. And you're like, I auditioned for this when? They're like, yeah, you auditioned for this in September of 1999. Don't you remember? And you're like, can you tell me about this project one more time?
My favorite is when you do an audition and you do well and you forget about it because weeks go by, and then you get a call back and they're like, yeah, just bring in the same sides. And you're just like, the same side? What are you talking about? The same? I don't know. Where am I going? What audition is this?
Yeah.
What?
Is this a paying project or not? Who is this? Yeah, I know. So we're almost at our end here. Is there any other things you wanted to mention, or like advice you'd like to give to any athletes who'd like to maybe move and transition into the entertainments or arts of some sort?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest advice I can give you, and hopefully the most helpful, is do classes. Do classes. Don't get married to the one class, your first class. Like, take different classes, unless you find somebody that like you truly feel is like changing the way that you view things and changing how you approach your craft, whatever it is. I went through 3 different four different acting teachers. 3 of them were actually like within the same studio, but when I left and I found this other guy, his name is Craig Wallace. He truly changed the way that I just approach acting and the way like I go about my own thing. And I'm happy that I did that, because if I would have stayed in the other place, I would have just stayed stagnant. And that's the other advice. Like, don't be afraid to try something else. Like maybe that is the greatest thing for you, but maybe it's not. I would say just learn other things just so that you can have an understanding, because it's just really nice to be able to speak to like a director or a cinematographer or just any other person that's not an actor on set, and like ask them different questions, because ultimately it will make you like a better actor. That's what I've realized, like I've learned more about editing and stuff like that. And recently I heard this thing about how an editor looks for an actor's blink, because that's when they know that the thought is done, and sometimes they do it earlier, sometimes they do it later, and things like that will ultimately help, just learning about the craft and not just acting, but really everything.
You know what also, a lot of the people doing sound and other jobs on set are also directors. They also write their own projects. They're just trying to make a dollar on someone else's set or helping out a friend.
Yeah.
And
or actors or something like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And before we get into our moment of positivity, you did drop your Instagram handle already. Can you tell us how to find your YouTube page, how to stay in contact with you, your Instagram, all that good stuff? I will drop it in the comments below, but go ahead and tell us anyways, just so I don't butcher it.
Yeah. So my YouTube, I am pretty sure I linked my YouTube channel to my Instagram. I think it's just my name also. It's just Danell Leyva, if I'm not mistaken. And if it's not, the easiest way will probably just be to go to my Instagram, which again is my first name, J, my last name, which is Danell J Leyva. That's also my same handle for Twitter, and I do TikToks every now and then. I really try and make them funny. I try my hardest.
I think it's entertaining. I was watching your podcast. I was like, I could see how people will watch this. Besides, like, you're dropping some knowledge and some deets. I was like, this is entertaining. Like, I would watch this.
Thank you.
Cool. We'll make sure to follow him there. And we are going to transition into our moment of positivity. Nope, that's not it. I'm struggling today. Here it goes. That's it.
Beautiful.
All right. And every episode, I like to finish it with a moment of positivity, a thought, a quote. You kind of gave us some really great advice already. But I'm going to give the honors to you if you would like to share some positivity with us.
Okay. Sure. I'll reiterate something that I heard Tom Hanks say.
Ooh.
And I think it's very relevant to the times. It was on a Hollywood Reporter, I want to say the Round Table, and he said the one thing that helped him the most is to realize that this too shall pass is just so important, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having a really bad time and if you're in a really bad spot, this too shall pass. If you're having a great time and something positive, this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
So just try your hardest to live in the moment and be where you are. And my favorite quote from Kung Fu Panda, funny enough, is yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. So let's live in the present as much as we possibly can.
I love it. And if Tom Hanks says it, you guys, that means it's real. It's true. Listen to the
America's dad. It's America's dad.
Yeah. Well, I loved that. And that's going to wrap up our podcast. So thank you for joining us. I hope that we have inspired a lot of athletes out there or anybody else who's thinking about transitioning to a new career to go ahead and do it. It's going to be a bit of a journey, but you have to keep going. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for joining us. You guys make sure to go and follow Danell on all of his platforms. And of course, yours truly. Join me, follow me on Instagram at Caslin Rose. That is CISLIN. And I think that's about it. You guys make sure to rate, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye. Cool. So that's basically my podcast. That was fun. Sorry about the graduation parade. I wasn't expecting that to happen during the middle of the podcast, but people worked really hard to graduate and they deserve a little bit of love too. I get it. I get it. You don't get to actually walk the stage after 4 years, but you can have a parade. I'll give that to you guys. And that was my awesome podcast for today with a super awesome, incredibly talented guest. Seriously, you guys, go check out that American Ninja Warrior video and catch you guys next time.